All right, let's be honest. R&B music theory can be stressful. It could be a lot to learn and figure out when it comes to chord progressions, how to build them. You're having notes that go outside the scale, not only just going by ear, which is fine, but wanting to know how to do it and why to do it. It's a lot, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. But I'm making this video to hopefully help you at least in that a little bit so you can get past that really difficult part and get on to the more fun stuff. And obviously, the more theory you know and the more you understand it, it'll start to make more sense, and it does make it fun. It's like learning something that doesn't make sense in the beginning, especially when it's not sounding right and you're hitting a chord and you hit the next chord and it's just you just want to give up. I know that feeling, so I'm about to help you out today. Since I have so many different types of R&B and R&B tutorials on this channel, I wanted to make this video as a one-stop place where you could come by and learn how to make at least 3 R&B chord progressions that you can apply, change the key, change the voicings, and really get a whole bunch of chord progressions out of this. And that's all I got. Other than that, bro, have fun. Learning R&B is difficult. It's fun and rewarding the more you learn. I'm learning every day, and every time I get something new or understand something, it's a blessing. Let's go. We're gonna keep this simple. I'm gonna go over here. We're gonna be in C major for this. All the white notes starting on C, back up to C. 1 octave higher. So the first thing I'm gonna show you is a 2-5-1 chord progression, which is very common in R&B. So to start this off and keep it simple, I just want to use 2 chords. I'm going to use the 1 of the scale and the 3 of the scale. I'll explain what that means. Then at the end, I'm going to go to the 2 of the scale, the 5 of the scale, back to the 1. Now to get that R&B sound between the 1 and the 3, I'm going to create a passing chord. These are going to be the ones that have those notes that go outside the scale, but we'll make it make sense. So we have C right here, right? This is all scale highlighted. So all the white notes are in C. So this is the 1 of the scale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the 1 right here. So we have our 7 notes in the scale. These are our scale degrees. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. I'm gonna bring this over here so you can look at that. And we're going to build out, like I said, on the 1 and the 3. And then over here, we're gonna do that 2, 5, back to the 1. I'll explain all that. We'll make it make sense, and you'll know the chord progression. So let's start off on the 1. The 1 is C. So boom, I'm gonna go right here, build out a chord. This is going to be a major chord, but just so you know, if we skip a note in the scale and place here, there's 3 spacings here. If we skip a note, place here, there's 2. This right here with 3 spaces and then 2 spaces, if we have a note and we count 3, place 1, count 2 and place 1, this gives us a major triad. If we take this and we were to have it be down and we actually had 2 to 3, this gives us the minor triad. Obviously, we're in C major. This first one is actually major. So a C major chord right here. Then I'm going to skip one more and place a note here. So we got root, 3rd, 5th. This makes a triad. And then this one makes it a 7th. So this is a C major 7th chord. Cool. Nice and easy. Then I'm going to skip this part right here because this is where we're going to build the passing chord. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to build out on the 3, which is the E right here. So let's place an E. Now I'm going to skip a note, place. You see we have 2 spacings. I can assume, I'm going to act like I don't know this, that this is probably going to be a minor chord. Skip a note here, place. It is a minor chord, E minor. 2 spacings, 3 spacings. I'm also going to make this a 7th chord. So skip one note here and place. Again, 2, 3, 2. So we have a root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. C major 7th, E minor 7th. Those are going to be our 2 chords. We're obviously going to build out the 2-5-1 over here, but now what we want to do is create some type of passing chord right here. So a note that takes us from this chord to this chord. But I want to build out a chord that's going to feel R&B or feel jazzy. So what I'm going to do is build out a dominant chord. And to build out a dominant chord, all you need to do, I'll show you the spacing for that as well. But how do we know what dominant chord we want to build out? Well, a trick you could do to get this R&B feel is look at the chord you're about to go to, right? Look at the 5th of the chord, which is B. So we have the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. If I deleted this, this is still root, 3rd, and 5th. So this is still the 5th regardless, right? I have the 5th right here. This is going to be utilized to build out our dominant chord. I'll explain why in a second, but we're going to go over here and we're going to build out a dominant chord with this. So to build out a dominant chord, the spacing is 3, 2, 2. So we build out a major triad. So we skip 3 spaces and put 1 here. We're outside the key. Just remember, this is how it's going to have to happen. So 3, then we skip 2 right here. So this is a major triad. Now we're going to add the minor seventh on top of this. So we're not going to skip 3 again. We're just going to skip 2 again. So 2, boom, place. This spacing right here, 3 spaces, 2 spaces, 2 spaces, gives you a dominant 7th chord. So this is a B dominant 7th chord. So we choose a dominant 7th chord because it's going to want to resolve to the 1. We have the 1 being E, right? And we use the 5 here and built out a chord. So this 5 right here wants to resolve to this 1 if we hit this note. You can hear that. So from here, what we're going to do is bring this down a whole octave like that. So now we have our 2 chords that are inside the scale, right? You can see they fall in. This one has some notes that fall outside the scale, but we did this on purpose because it's going to give us that R&B feel. And since we built it off this chord, the 5th right here, this 1 right here is going to be the perfect resolution for it because B to E, we built it off the 5th. The 5 wants to resolve to the 1. That's why it's going to work. So let's go ahead and listen to this now. And now you can hear that 2 5 1. Bum, 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 bum. Right, you're starting to get that R&B feel. So now let's build out that 2 5 1. So I'm gonna bring this over here so we can see what we're doing. So we have the 2 and then we have the 5 right here. So let's go over here and we're gonna build out a chord on the 2, and then we need to build out on the 5. So 1 2 3 4 5 G right here. These are gonna be the root notes, and we can actually bring these down an octave, which we'll do later. I'll show you. Let's just build it out like this. So this one, I'm going to build out a triad. So I'm going to skip a note here, place, skip one here, place. This is a D minor triad, 2 spacings, 3. And then I'll also build out a chord over here, and this is a major, 3 spacings and 2, so G major. So now let's listen to this real quick. So it's the 1, dominant on B, to the 3 of the scale, to the 2, 5, 1. Doesn't really sound cohesive yet though, right? It doesn't sound like fully R&B. Well, let's go ahead and make this sound better. So what we're going to do is take these root notes here, actually take all these and drop them down. We'll do a duplicate, shift down like this, and we'll see what we want to keep. So I'm going to delete it here. I'm going to keep this D down an octave. Same with the G. I'm going to delete it here and keep it low down here. And then what we could start to do is add different types of voicings to these chords. So maybe we could take this top note being D right here and drop it an octave, control down. The closer you kind of have your notes together, the better they're going to sound. Now we can take these two actually and bring them, well, no, let's actually just bring this one down. The voicings all depend on like kind of how you want to do it, but let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like now. I like how that sounds better. We can go ahead and bring these back. Let's bring the G back up here, and let's bring this down now like that. Just start to add in a little bit more. I'm also going to skip a note right here and place a note right here on C. And if we go ahead and look back at that, all that's going to be is a 7th chord now. So now it's going to sound like this. Already starting to sound more like R&B. Now I'm going to show you another thing you can do. So maybe we want to actually extend these chords and make this sound like an even bigger chord progression. It really depends. You can go crazy. You can do all different types of voicings. We could bring this down here. Bring all these down. That's pretty clean. I like how that sounds. Let's try to extend these chords. So right here, don't worry about these bass notes down here. Right here, we have the 7th, right? Let's do a 9th. So skip a note and place. Now we have root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th. This is a C major 9th chord. So right here, the dominant, we have these 2 spacings here. So I'm gonna skip another 2 and place a note here. And now let's take this, let's bring this down, and let's just strum it just a little bit. So a nice clean 2 5 1 right here, and then the main chords that we built on originally was the 1 and the 3. Now I'm going to show you how you could build a 2-5-1 again, so I'm going to repeat it, but now for the passing chord, we're going to use a diminished chord or an augmented chord. I'll show you how to do that. So let's jump into the next chord progression. All right, so we're going to use that same chord progression. So we're going to do the 1 and the 3. Then we'll do the 2-5-1 over here as well. But I'm going to show you another way that you can use a passing chord here by utilizing one semitone below the note you're about to go to. I'll explain that in a second. So let's go ahead and build this out again. So we have the 1, and then we have the 3 being E. So let's place a note there. Build these out. We already know what they are. This is the major 7th, C major 7th. This one is the minor 7th. Cool. I could have just left it, but we'll go ahead and build out that 2-5. Well, we'll do the 2-5-1 again at the end. So what I mean by this is this time when we do this passing chord, and these ones I kind of like to play a little bit faster because they really do disturb the chord progression in a good way, but sometimes I don't want them to play like an entire bar, but I'll show you what it sounds like. So what we're going to do is before we go to this chord, we're going to drop down one semitone here or a half step right here from E to D sharp. Right? And we're going to build out a passing chord on this note. Again, this is not inside the scale, but this is how you get to these R&B and these jazz chord progressions. You have to go outside the scale a lot of the times when you're building these notes, but really just know another way to do a passing chord instead of building directly off the 5th and then building a chord over here, being like a dominant chord or whatever. What we're going to do is just drop one note below E to D sharp. You could study this up too. Passing chords by, I forgot what the exact term is, but just look up R&B passing chords and then a half step down. So what we're going to build out is a diminished chord and an augmented chord and see what we like the most. So we got our root note here. So to build out a diminished chord, you need to skip 2 notes, place, skip 2 notes, and place. This right here gives us a diminished chord. Doesn't matter where it is. It could be here. This is C diminished. It could be over here. This is A diminished. It's just these spacings, 2 spacings, 2 spacings. So note, 2 spaces, note, 2 spaces, note. That gives us a diminished chord. We could check this out over here. Diminished, watch me be wrong. Just kidding. Boom. Right there, diminished. We want augmented. It's going to be 3 between each. There you go. We have D, skip 3. Boom. And then we skip 3. So that's going to be diminished. We'll go into that in a second. So let's go over here. We'll let it be a really long chord if we want. I don't like diminished chords being this long, but go crazy. Sounds good, right? Now the 2-5-1, 2 right here, the 5, 3, 4, 5, G. Let's build this out again. We're going to go here, here. We already did this previously, so I don't have to explain it again. And let's drop all these by an octave. This one's a little weak. Let's go ahead and keep that D sharp right there. Nice. We have the 2-5-1 again. 2 to the 5 to the 1. So let's build this out even more. But another thing I want to show you that you could do is skip another 2 notes right here and place a note right here. Now we got a D sharp diminished 7th chord. Let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, I'm going to show you another thing you can do over here on these. So we can actually bring these back up. So we have our basic triads right here, right? So I'm going to drop these 2 here down an octave. So it's still the basic triads with the root notes down an octave, right? I'm going to delete these 2 notes. I'm going to have these 2 repeat. So if you look at that, that's what that chord is, right? It's not going to make a lot of sense. But because the bass is doing the 2-5 to the 1, I'm going to let this chord right here, so pretty much the 3rd and the 5th of the D minor chord, just repeat. And I'm going to change the bass to 2-5-1 and change up the chords and watch what this sounds like. It gives us an interesting feel. You can start to do things like this with the R&B to where it kind of repeats, but then you just have the bass notes changing and it sounds really good. So this is the 1, that diminished chord, the 3 of the scale, 2, 5, 1. And the 2-5-1 works the same way. Remember when I was telling you about the dominant 5ths and why we took the 5th of the chord we're going to go to? We took that fifth, brought it over, and built out a dominant chord because I told you the 5 wants to resolve to the 1. That's why the 2-5-1 sounds so good, because this is a 2 chord. We hit a 5 chord. The 5 chord likes to resolve to the 1 chord. Circle of fifths, bro, I'm telling you. Anyways, so with this, sounds good. We can add extensions to this if we want, but I'll just show you this in its basic form. But again, let's just skip one. Let's make this a 9th chord right here. Bring this up so you can see it. Drop that an octave. Let's see what we got. You can change the voicing however you want, bro. We could go like this. These are really thin chords. I would honestly extend these out a little bit, but I just want to show you the basic form of this. So this is always fun to do. Now let's change this right here to an augmented chord. So I have to bring this chord back so you can see what it looked like. We did so many different inversions on this. Okay, so here's the E minor 7th. Cool. 2 spaces, 3, 2. Now right here, we're going to build out an augmented chord. So remember, we're dropping 1 note below this E. This is going to be our passing chord. So we'll bring this back over here. And now we're going to build out the augmented chord. That was 3 spacings in between. So we have skip 3, place, skip 3, place. Go double check, augmented. I'll do it over here. D sharp. Yep, 3, 3. Cool. Augmented chords also add a whole bunch of tension. So let's see what that sounds like. I need to bring the root notes down. So here, and then this E. All right, let's hear what the augmented does. Sounds pretty good. I like it. Let's skip another 3. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Place. See what this sounds like. Earlier, we built out the diminished like this, so you could choose which one you like more. I don't know. It really just depends on which one you like more, but these are just another way that you can build a passing chord. So we covered utilizing dominant 7th chords as passing chords, and then we covered diminished and augmented chords being used as passing chords. And we went over the 2-5-1. Now I'm going to show you another R&B chord progression that's cool to use. It's not a 2-5-1. Again, we're going to utilize a really simple method. We're just using 2 chords, and then we're going to build some passing chords, and I'll show you what type of passing chords we can use. Let's go. All right, let's get into this next one. Not gonna lie, my brain is a little cooked explaining all the theory and doing this. I also did a tutorial before this. It was the Gunna tutorial. If you haven't seen that, I don't know when you're seeing this video, but I did do a Gunna tutorial that's coming out the same week as this, and that one came out crazy. So I've just been working all day, but I'm excited. I love doing this, and I love teaching the theory that I know. I'm still learning theory myself, so don't think that I know a whole bunch of theory. I'm literally learning as I go. I just study it. I learn from a lot of people. ChatGPT, whatever it is, ChatGPT has been wrong before, which is actually kind of crazy. And I double checked on it, and then I told it like, wait, wasn't that this? And it was like, oh, my bad, you're right. It's actually this. So I was like, you know what? Nope. That's when I actually called Daniel Saint. I was like, bro, what chord is this? You know what I'm saying? Because we're trying to figure it out. And ChatGPT was just completely got it wrong. We ended up figuring it out. Shout out Daniel Saint. He's really good at theory as well. Anyways, on to the next one. This chord progression, we're going to be doing a 2-6 chord progression, and we're going to be utilizing passing chords in between. So 2-6 chord progression. Let's build that out. Let's bring this back over here. We're still in C major, so we need 2, which is D. So boom, we're going to build out a chord right here, then 3, 4, 5, 6, A. Right here. Let's build these chords out. Skip a note. Boom, place, skip a note. Place. This is a minor chord. Over here, it's going to be minor as well, but let's just act like we don't know. Skip a note, place, skip another 2, 3. Okay, now we know it's a minor chord because 2 and 3. But what if it was built out like that, bro, and it was a diminished chord? Just kidding. Not going to confuse you. Anyways, let's make these 7ths. Skip a note, place, skip a note, place. We have 2 minor 7th chords. D minor 7th, A minor 7th. I'm going to drop this a whole octave from the start. Control down arrow. I don't want the chord going all the way up there. So basic chords right here, nothing too crazy. And we have these 2 big old spaces. We want to make this sound like R&B. So we want to go ahead and put some passing chords in here. So let's do the good old trick of looking at the fifth of this chord. So root, third, fifth right here, and seventh. I'm going to take the fifth, I'm going to steal this, bring it over here. And again, just like in the other one, I'm going to build out a dominant seventh chord. I know that the spacing is skipping 3, then skipping 2, then skipping 2 again. This is a dominant seventh chord. And the bottom note's on E. If I take this over here, this is a dominant seventh chord on A, dominant seventh chord on F sharp. It's really just the spacing in the notes that is going to let you know what chord it is, right? When we're looking at MIDI, I can easily explain this as the spacing of notes. So 3 spaces, 2, 2, we got a dominant chord. So we built it out on the fifth. The reason that's going to work again is because the 5 wants to return to the 1. And we built out a chord, a dominant chord, on the 5 of this, and it wants to return back home to the 1. Let's play it. Hear it. Dun. So, all right, I go to sleep now. I'm resting. Feel a little tense, and I'm resting. So that is why the 5 to the 1 sounds good. Cool. That's going to work. Some of the notes are outside the scale. That's why it's giving us that R&B jazz feel. Let's go ahead and play this. So we got the, what was this? What did I say? The 2 and the 6. And then we have this passing chord. So let's hear this. Ooh. Sounds like R&B. All right, so now what are we going to do over here? Well, we could do it again. We got a couple different options. We can go ahead and just leave it like that, right? We can have it play out like this. We can have it go backwards like that. Or maybe we want to build out another dominant chord or a augmented chord. It really just depends. But I'm going to have another passing note over here. I'm going to do the same thing. This chord's going to return over here. So I'm going to look at the fifth of this chord. So root, third, fifth, seventh, the fifth, A. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to utilize this A because A wants to return here. Cool. You can hear it just works. 5 and 1, bro. It's magic formula. I'm just playing. There's theory behind it. But anyways, let's go. Let's build out the dominant seventh. So skip 3, boom, skip 2, skip 2 more. I think I made a video about this a long time ago. Let's drop this down an octave. So we have our 2 dominant chords. Why isn't it highlighting? Come on, here we go. And then the chords that actually fit in the scale here, just to make sense, because I know when watching tutorials, sometimes you want to know why notes aren't fitting. These 2 are dominant chords. You understand why we built them off already. But if you want notes that are fitting in the scale, you see it here. But with R&B, jazz, and stuff, you're going to have notes that don't fit in the scale, and that's how you get that sound. So let's hear what this sounds like. See what I'm saying? We can go in here, move notes. Let's go like this. Drop this down. Let's go over here, move this. We can extend this chord. Let's make it a 9th. And this one, let's extend it as well. Skip here, make this a 9th. And hear what this sounds like. I like that. But now I actually want to make this an augmented chord right here. So I'm going to go back over here. I know that E was the 5th. If I move this back, you can see root, third, 5th, right? E, cool. E's already here. Let's make it augmented. Remember, we got to skip 3 notes. 1, 2, 3, place. 1, 2, 3, place. Let's bring them all 3 up. I'll add like another E down here. Cool. So this is the augmented chord. Let's hear what this sounds like. And I'll get rid of that for now. Oh. Okay. What if we do an augmented chord over here as well? Well, since this structure is exactly the same, I just need to move it to A. So let's go over here, go here, and move it to A. Not bad. Skip another 3. Let's try it out. Okay. Then let's get a little more creative. Let's go back, and then we have its basic form again with this G here. But what if I just sharpen this here? So we see 3 spaces, 3, and we have 1, but we're gonna keep this G running here. Sounds nice. Then again, we can mess with voicings. Bring this down, bring this here, bring this down. Try out different voicings. I don't know if this is gonna sound good. I don't think it will, maybe. Just a lot of notes close together. Actually kind of fire, I can't lie. So this is just 3 different ways we went over that you could build R&B chords. Hopefully the theory behind this wasn't too hard to follow along with. I know it's a little advanced if you have no music theory at all. From here, the ideas are really endless. I'm still learning a whole bunch of different ways with passing chords and R&B. These are just a couple of the ways I've been doing for a while, but I'm always trying to figure out different ways to learn more about passing chords. And you could really extend these passing chords and get even cooler sounds, and really just have long extended chords, especially for the suspended chords, the augmented chords, the diminished chords, whatever you're using. And it just adds even more variation and flavor. And then you can get into adding sharps and flats for color notes, different types of chord extensions that you could do. Not gonna lie, for the next couple weeks, I'm about to dive into even more theory and try to get myself lost in other parts of this so I can learn even more to teach you guys. But it's like I said, this theory stuff could be kind of hard. So with that said, we can't leave here without trying this on a sound of R&B because pianos are cool, but you definitely got to get like a pad, have some nice sound selection. So Purple Skies, Analog Lab Bank. I got 2 R&B Analog Lab Banks, Purple Skies and Loveless. Let's try a pad. We got to have the pad for the outro. Let's hear our chord progression. Change the whole thing. As always, appreciate you watching. Hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully you can create a few R&B chord progressions after watching this. If you're interested in any of my kits, I'll have a link to those in the description. Appreciate you guys as always. If you want more theory videos, let me know in the comments down below. And if for whatever reason any of my theory was wrong, drop a comment down below. I'm always trying to learn. That's about it for today, man. 2 tutorials down. Let's keep it going. Till the next video, peace.